Okay, so we've just finished the top of the temple, filling in the top. Now we want to do the bottom. And the bottom, remember, has a hole in it. So it's going to be a little different. We're going to start at this end, work our way down, go this way, this way, this way, all the way down, and then back, and we'll close right here. Okay? So that's how we do the bottom of the temple. We're gonna leave it all. The rest of them in, we're just gonna pull that center bead out. We wanna make sure we're still getting the right bead. We just wanna pull the pipe cleaner out. We're gonna take a piece of our fishing line, okay? And we're gonna go through 3 of the beads. So there's one, you'll see there's one right here. You'll go through that bead you just took the pipe cleaner out. So it's 1, 2, and 3. Kind of hard doing it this angle. I'm trying to get the angle because I want you to have your temple facing you this way. It's a little easier. So I hope you can see this okay. So what you'll do is you'll pull it even. You'll make sure your threads are nice and even. You'll pull your fishing line out. You'll have it coming out the 3, and you'll have the 2 lines. So just make sure you match your lines, pull them straight up, and make sure you match them. So you'll have the fishing line going through these 3 beads. So since everything has to do with 4, you'll take 1 bead and you'll crisscross it. So after you've got it through the 3 beads on that first little wall jut out, you'll crisscross. And remember, when we crisscross, we put a string in one side. Oops, just flip that. A string in one side, the other line in the other side, and we'll pull. Sometimes I just like to wrap it on my hands, and you'll see that we've got our 4 little beads right here. Now that we have done that little crisscross on our first, another thing I like to do before I continue down the wall, I'll just go ahead and put that pipe cleaner right back in that bead that I just put my string in. Even though my fishing line is in there, I just want to keep it there just to hold the walls together. It just helps keep the shape until we have it all the way finished. So that'll just hold it down like that. Okay? So as you can see, I just crisscrossed that one. Now what you're going to do, going down the rest of the wall, which this is called our wall, okay? You're going to take the right line. The right line will go through that wall bead. So we're going to put the right line through that first wall bead. It's kind of like doing a row. So pull your right line through the wall bead, like so. On the left line, which is this side over here, your left side, you're going to add 1 bead to the left line. Oops, I'll put it down here so you can see. 1 bead to the left line. As you can see, we've got 1 bead on the left side, and the right string is through the wall bead. Then we are going to crisscross 1 bead. So we will crisscross the 3rd bead or the 2nd bead. Okay, crisscross, that means we go on one side, we put it through on the other, and we pull. Pull both strings at the same time. Now, as you can see, there's another little diamond that we've made, little foursome. There's our first foursome. Now we're just making another foursome. So what we're going to do, I'm not going to video this, but I'm going to just show you just what we did. We're going to go all the way down to this wall bead. We're going to go right side, right string in the wall, add 1 to the left, then we crisscross. Okay, we're going to do that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So 6 more times. So we've already done it once, so 6 more times. When you've done it 6 times, stop. Okay, as you can see, I finished those 6 more. Went in the wall 6 times, 6 more times, added the bead, went in the wall on the right, added the bead on the left, crisscrossed in the center. And on that 6th one, you will see, if you've done it correctly, that it should lay nicely right within that. If you were to pull it nice and tight, and make sure you pull tight, that it kind of lays right here nicely, and it'll make a foursome with that little wall jut out. But as you can see, it's not connected. So even though we've crisscrossed that 3rd bead right here, we've got to connect this wall jut out. So how we do that, we'll go ahead and remove the pipe cleaner just from that last little wall jut out. We can kind of hold the wall jut out. Okay, we'll take the left line, left piece of the fishing line. We're going to go up and around those 3 beads. So you're going to go right here through the one, take the left line through that center bead where the pipe cleaner was at, and then take the left line through that 3rd bead right here. Okay. Sometimes it likes to get mixed up with the right line. Just move the right line out of the way if you need to. Sometimes if it's hard to find, you kind of can maneuver your beads. You can push them down, push them up. Feel free to get to your beads. As we start getting this thing closed off, it gets a little trickier. So as you can see, we took our line from this crisscross bead. We went up and around these 3, and now you can see it's coming out of this 3rd bead. So what we're going to do now with that same left line, we're going to put it back through that same bead we started in. So it will come out that same side of that same bead we were just crisscrossed in, and we'll pull nice and tight. Now if you look, it's made that a nice and tight foursome. And you have a string coming out of both sides, crisscrossed, okay? Now, if you can see, we're sitting here in this crisscross bead in the center, and now we got to be able to go down this row. Because as we do this, we go up, we go down, we go up, we go down. That's how we fill it in. So we need to be into this next bead in a crisscross. So all you're going to do is now we're going to use our right line, and you're going to go through this bead, and this bead, and this one is going to crisscross. Okay, let me show you. So we'll take our right line, and we'll go through that. We're going to just go, it's like we're going backwards, because we're just doing this to maneuver to get our string back to where we want it. So we're going to go back through that wall bead, back through that center bead, okay, and then you'll see that little side bead right there. That's what I want to put my string in. So I'll put this is the right string we're dealing with now. So now you see it's coming out here. Now our left string, that remember we went up and around the wall and back through again, it's sitting right here. If you do it right, you'll be able to just go right back through that wall bead. It's right next to it, because that'll give us a crisscross. And as you can see, we've got left and right coming out of that bead that I want right there. You have the string here and the string here. Do you see? Just finished all the way down the row. I went around like we did, and then I got ourselves around again and put ourselves in this bead. So we're here on this row once again, and we have the strings coming out. Now you remember, when we're coming in the jut in, on the jut in row, we can go ahead and stick this pipe cleaner back through, so we can keep holding it together just a little tight. It makes it a little easier to see our pattern. Now we're going to take that right line and go through where it juts in, right here. Go through this little wall bead. You can see where it juts in. I'm just going to put it right through this little wall bead right here, right next to where I came out as a crisscross. We'll pull it through. So now you can see my string's coming out of this bead, out of this bead. Let's flip it like we normally do, right here. You can see you have this bead and this bead, just like what we've done before. We're going to add one to the right side and crisscross one. And now we are turned and ready to go down the row. Whoops, I got to crisscross that one. Okay, so we are turned. There's our first diamond. We're ready to go down the row. But if you look, we need to have a hole. So let me just show you what we're doing. So what we did is we went all the way down this row, and now we've turned it, and now we're coming back. But we only need to do a half a row, or just a little bit of a row. So if you can see, we have got, here's the one diamond we just did right here. We only need to do one more, and then we're done, okay, with that row. So we just did our one diamond, so we're only going to do one more. So what we want to do is we want to go through the wall with the left string. Keep it nice and tight. Grab your wall, put your left string through the bead on the wall. Okay, so there's your left string through the left bead. Remember, we're only going to do one more. And we have the one bead and the one bead. Now, we don't want to continue going, so we don't want our string to be normally heading down. Usually we would put one on this side and then crisscross. We are now going to put one on the left side. So you went through the wall on the left, you're putting a bead on the left. And I'll show you why in a minute. Then we're going to crisscross. Let me show you why. So if I crisscross this bead, which is different than what we've done in the past going down these rows, let me show you why. Once I crisscross it, do you see that we have our bead where if we had the strings here out of this bead like we normally do, have the crisscross coming here, then we'd keep going down the row. But we don't want to keep going down the row because that's as far as we want to go with that second row because we have to make this hole. So we want to make sure we crisscross it this direction so we can continue to build on this side. So if you've done it right, the second row should just have two diamonds and the crisscross should end right here. So we just left off right here and we have our string coming out. Now we don't want to continue down that row because we want to continue filling in over to this side because we're making that circle in the center, just like this. So if you see what we need to do now, we're sitting with a crisscross going right through these two right here. Okay, so this is kind of similar to what we did when we were filling in the top. We're doing what you call like a jump up row. So we're going to add one. We're going to add it to, I would call this the top because it's more toward the top. This string is coming out more the bottom. Okay, so we're going to add 1, 2, and then the third one will crisscross. And I'm going to show you what happens when we crisscross that third one. It jumps us up a row and it turns us the direction we want to be going. So if you look, there's our diamond. We kind of jumped up another row, and as you can see, we just need to fill in this little row right here. Okay? So in order to fill in, you can look closely at what we need to do. I'll kind of flip it so you can see. You can kind of see that we need to go through the wall, add a bead, crisscross a bead. Okay? Because we're trying to fill in where it juts out. It's a little bit differently than filling in the bottom, or filling in the top, I mean, because we're not doing solid rows. These are just like little mini half rows, so you kind of have to work sideways. So once again, let me show you again. There's your diamond that we did an add-on row, and now we're going to take the right string, because I flipped it around, put it through this little wall bead right here. We're heading backwards. So put it through the wall bead. Okay. And we got it through the wall bead. And then we need an add a bead onto the left side. So add a bead. Oops. So we add a bead, and then we crisscross this third bead. And you'll see that this threesome right here should lay really nice right in our little jut out, like what we had before. So when we close that together, see how that little, so we did that little 4 by doing those 3, and then we just went through the wall, added the bead, crisscrossed this bead, and it lays nicely right in our little where it juts out. Now let's pull this little pipe cleaner back out. And remember, see how it's not attached? We would go do that same exact thing. We're going to take our left string, go up and around, through the jut out, and right back through that. Okay? So we're just going to go right through there, right through the center bead where our pipe cleaner was at, right back down through that third bead of the jut out. Okay, and remember, we return right back through that crisscross bead where we started, just to give us that, so we can hook that jut out to the rest of our beads. So make sure you go right through it. Okay, and your right string stayed the same time, and now it's nice and tight in there. See, and now it's not lifting up. It's secured. The jut out is secured to your beads. Okay, all right. We just went around and secured that, and we're coming out of this center bead right here. Now remember, in order to work this direction, we don't want to have it crisscross in this bead. We need to get over to this bead. So we're going to take this right line. We've done this before. Go to these 3 beads, come out and crisscross on this one, and this one will crisscross that one. So let's take the right line, go right, we're just kind of going, we're backtracking, basically getting our string where we need it to be. So we'll go through this little wall bead right here. Okay, we got it through the wall bead, go through the other bead of the triangle or the foursome, and then we'll put it right through here, which is the bead that we want it crisscrossed in so we can continue to work across. Okay, so I just took that, if you can see what I'm doing. I've just pulled the right one through. Now the left string, because that was out of our first crisscross, we're just going to put it right through that bead right here, so it's out the other side, and we'll have our strings where we want them crisscross, and it will pull it nice and tight. And you can see we had it in this bead, and now we just went around back, went in that one, and now we have it coming out of the bead we want. Okay, if you want, you can go back and put this through. I'm not going to worry about it because it's kind of holding its shape anyway, because we've already put it in the top of the temple. And as you can see right here, we have the jut in. Okay, this is the jut in. So we're going to take we already have it coming out of this bead, so we take the top line, which is closest to the jut in bead, and we're going to put it right through that little bead right there. Okay, put that in. We're going to flip it so you can see what we're doing. So we've got the bead coming out here, one bead here, just like what we've done before. Add a bead to the right and crisscross a bead. And then you can see that we can make do an additional row to match up. Couple more triangles here. So crisscross, and there you go. Now, as you can see, we only need to go one more row. So we're going to go into we're just going to go into the wall of this bead. Okay, go into the wall, which is on the right, add a bead on your left, add a bead on the left, and crisscross the third. Okay, pull both the strings tight, and there you go. There is your, if you can see, we're kind of making our little circle here. Okay? Okay, so we just finished going around our first foursome on this little row. Now we're going to take our string, left string, go through the left wall bead. So left wall bead with our left string. Okay, we pull that through, left through the wall, add it to the side, add one to the left, and then crisscross. You could tell I did it wrong because it didn't look like a diamond, so I caught myself. So when you see yourself, if you only have 3 and not 4, make sure you've done the correct foursome or it's going to throw you off. And that happens, believe me. There you go. Now we've got the correct foursome. Okay, now when we tie things off, remember, we can take out one of the crisscrosses and just tie a knot. We're just going to tie a knot right here, tie this off. Not only are we running out of string, but this is where I want you to tie it off because it's going to be easier to do the last row from the very beginning back without having to worry about it. So You probably will be running out of string anyway, so just cut you off. Let's thread it back through like I've taught you before. Thread it back through and we'll cut it off. Pull both strings up nice and tight, flip it, there you go. Okay, now you can see that we just need to go through this. So what we're gonna do, this is why I had you tie it off right there, because it's a lot easier than having to go back and do all that backtracking. Just cut you a new piece. And we'll work our way just like what we've done before. Okay, so we're on our last row. We're going to thread it through the 3, which is the jut out, the side, the bead where the pipe cleaner was at, the other side. Remember, we're starting with a new string here. We just tied it off up there. Not only were we running out, we also need to do it tie off no matter what, just because this is an easier deal than trying to run your string all the way back. Okay, so this is what you've done before. On this last row, we're just going all the way down. Okay, so as you can see, we've got 3 in there. We just need to put 2 crisscross 1. We went through the jut out, which has taken us 3. Now we'll crisscross the 3rd one, pull it. There is our first little diamond. And you can see there's a wall bead we're going to go through, and then we crisscross. So left string goes through the left wall bead, left string goes through the left wall bead, left string goes through the left wall bead, right string, this might just be a little bit too long of string here. It's alright, we can always cut it. Right string goes through the right wall bead, which is right here. And once it's getting even a little bit trickier to get these strings through, because things are getting even tighter as we get the top and bottom finished, but you can still bend them how you need to try to get the string through. Okay, put the string through. Okay, so here we have right through the right wall, left through the left wall, pull nice and tight. You can tell that if you pull it tight, all you need, I'm going to get rid of some of this string because it's really long. Okay, and all you need to do is crisscross. You've got one through the right, one through the left. Let's crisscross it, and it will bring it nice and tight together. Now remember, on this last row, we're going all the way down on the last row. Just like we did on the first row. On the bottom, you go all the way down on the first and all the way down on the last, and then we'll fill in the rest, okay? All right, so here we go. We've crisscrossed this. Let's make sure we're nice and tight. I think I've got a little string tangled here. Yep, just make sure you don't get any of your strings tangled when you're doing that crisscross. It should lay nice and flat in there, okay? So now we'll go to the next wall bead, which on the left side, left goes to left, right goes to right. So there's our left wall bead. Here goes our right wall bead. Sorry, I'm turning it. It's just easier to work. That's why you always want it facing you, because it's easier to work with it that way. You can get this strings in a lot easier. You're not fighting as much. So I'm just going to turn it so I can get it in a little bit easier. Okay, and then we've got one in each wall. Looks like my string kind of got messed up right here. Just kind of pull it back out if it gets caught on something. Go through the right wall. And then crisscross a bead. Okay, right wall, left wall, take a bead and crisscross it. Okay, as you can see, there we go. We're going to continue down, but now we don't have a wall bead on this side, so I'm going to show you next what we're going to do. Okay, so now that we've finished, we've got to right here. We're even with here. We don't want to continue building on this side, but we do want to go all the way down like this. So we're going to take our string, our right side, through the right wall of the beaded temple. Pull that out, and now because we don't have a bead, we're going to add one to the left. So add one to the left side, and then crisscross one. And you're going to continue down the wall, going with the right string through the right wall, left string, add a bead, and then crisscross. And if you continue, so we did the one right here, so continue down 1, 2, 3, 4 more, and on the 5th one, which will be our jut out, I'll show you what we're going to do. That's where we're going to do the same thing we've done before. So I'm going to stop right here, you finish, I'll finish, and then we'll come back and I'll tell you what we're doing next. Okay, so you can see I finished down the row, which is the last side, and you can see that I just have I did my last bead right here, my last wall bead, put it in there, and it lays nicely right into my little jut out right there. So we're gonna pull out the pipe cleaner, and remember, when we get to the jut out, we take the left piece of string, go through on the jut out, we're gonna go through the wall, we're gonna go through the bead that had the pipe cleaner in it, which is right here, and we're also going to go through the last wall bead of the jut out, through the last wall bead, pull it out. Remember what we do, we've done this quite a few times before, return it right back into the bead where we had the crisscross, so it's coming out the same direction. Pull that nice and tight, and that gives you a nice and tight, and it's secured that jut out right to that bead. Now remember, in order to go over to start moving over this way and build the rest of our temple, we're going to need to get in this bead. So we're going to take the right side down and around, crisscross. We'll take the left and crisscross to that bead. So both of our strings are coming out of this bead on the side, so we can start working sideways. So the right bead, or the right string, will go down through the wall, through the right wall. Just going to set it down. I can get it through a little quicker. So do the same thing we've done again and again. It's getting harder because we've got a lot of strings going through some of these beads. Okay, put it through. Bend your beads, like I said, if you need to get that through. Pull your string through, put it back through the one bead of the diamond, which is another center bead, and crisscross it through the bead that you want it to be crisscrossed in. Okay, and then this other bead, or this other string that was left out of the first crisscross, just run that right back down through that bead so you can have a crisscross out. Now you should end up, you know it's right, when you have a crisscross coming out of this side bead, and now we can start working our way over just like what we've done before. Okay, now that we've left off right here, you can see that the jut in right here is where we need to go to next, just like we've done previously. So go ahead and hold on to that little jut in, put your string, we're taking the string that's on the top of our thing, and we're going to put that through that little jut in. Okay, and you've got your two beads right there. Flip it around so we can see what we're doing. Flip it around. You can see we've got one string going through the wall, one string going here. Now we're going to add a bead. Adding a bead to the right side. Crisscrossing a bead. And this will give us our first diamond of 2. Remember, we only need 2 diamonds because we're making that circle. So make sure you just crisscross that bead. Okay, nice and tight. There's our first diamond. Okay, now we need 1 more diamond. So we're going to go through the wall on the left side. Through the wall on the left. Remember, we have to add, this is where we go different because we're not going down the wall. This is where we have to stop. Add a bead to, so we go through the wall on the left, add a bead on the left, crisscross on the right, or crisscross with the other 2. The reason being because we want our crisscross to be on the side because we don't want to go any further. Remember, we're keeping a hole. We want the crisscross to be on the side. We can go ahead and take the pipe cleaner out if it's in our way. We want it to be on the side so we can work sideways and fill the rest of this in. Okay, so now that we've done our 2 triangles on this second row and we've got our crisscross coming out this side, you know it's right. We don't want the crisscross on the top bead because we're stopping here. We're crisscrossing on this bead. So what we want to do is we want to add, this is where we're going to kind of do a jump up row because it's flat. We want to jump up, so we're going to add two beads to the top string, because remember our top string is the one that's up here on the top, and this is called my bottom string, and then we crisscross. The reason why we add it to the top, because when we crisscross this, we want the crisscross to be, the bead to be working downward. See this? To be working back. So let me flip it, and if you can see, now we've got our crisscross bead right here, and we need to fill this in. So if you lay it right here, you can see what you need to do. Okay? We need to go in the wall bead right here. So we're going to take the right string through the wall, the right wall. I'm just going to turn it my way. Okay? So right string through the right wall. Okay, nice like that. Add a bead to the left. Okay, so we just put the bead on the right side, or we went through the wall on the right side, put the bead on the left, and we're crisscrossing a bead. Remember, we're only doing the 2 rows, or the 2 little corner diamonds. We did one here, and if you look nicely, this bead will lay right in the center. It's the 4th bead to this little diamond thing right here. So remember how we do this. When we have the jut out, we go through, we use the left string, go through the wall, go through the third wall of the jut out, 3rd wall bead. Sometimes they're in the way. Go through the bead. Go through the bead that has where the pipe cleaner was at. It's just my husband's phone. Sorry about the duck noise. And then go through the 3rd wall bead, another wall bead on this little jut out. Once you've been through all 3 of them, we would normally, which I think we will, let's see. Actually, we're running out of string, so I'm just going to pull it nice and tight together right here. And that should lay nicely. And if we pull it tight, and this gets pulled around tight and that one does, then we can actually tie it off. And we're going to tie it off right here because we're running out of string, and it's just a good place to tie it off. So we'll just go ahead and tie it there. Remember? So it's nice and tight, and we'll tie it the other way, slip knot, nice and tight. We'll run our strings back through a bead and cut them off. Okay, so we just went ahead and tied it off, put our beads through a bead, cut it off. Now we're set. Now where we need to start off is we want our new string, and if we're still using our old string, we would have just ran it right back and we would have come out as a crisscross into this one. But if you ran out of string like I did, then just go ahead and start your new string right here. which is that first one right here, all right? Or if you had to crisscross, just crisscross your existing strings to there by going back and around and then back that direction. So now you can tell that we've got a jut in. We're almost done with this whole bottom of the temple. So you take your right string, go through that little jut in thing. It's going to be tricky because it's kind of secured down on the other side. So you're going to have to really kind of push your beads in, maneuver them a little bit to get that string through, and then try to find it to come out on the other side. Not the easiest, but you can do it. There you go. Okay, we'll flip it around like we always do. Okay, so we've got the string through that jut in bead. We've got the wall bead. Now we're going to add one bead. Actually, just look at it. If you look at it, you can see there's our other wall bead. So we're going to take the right string. So once we flipped it, we're on the right side. We'll go through this right wall, which is an existing wall. This is one of our beads that we did on our first row. Okay, so you're just going to do that, and now you'll see all we need to do is add, if you look closely, there's the one bead it's through, there's the two side beads, we just need to add one and crisscross. This is what I talk kind of about troubleshooting. Not sure because it changes a little bit. As long as you're making foursomes or little diamonds everywhere and you're crisscrossing the last bead in the direction that you want to be going, then you're doing it right. So grab your strings, crisscross. Looks like my crisscross came out of this side. Let me just hurry and finish crisscrossing. Sometimes it'll do that. Okay, just pull it nice and tight. I think I have a problem with this string. It has a little knot in it. Let me cut it off. That's why it keeps pulling out. Okay. So now, let's get back that bead again. Crisscross it. Okay, now it'll pull nice and tight together. Okay, now you can see we are almost done. We have one more bead. We have it crisscrossed into this bead right here. We're going to go the left string on the left bead, right string on the right, and crisscross one. You can kind of just see that this will be the last bead that we'll have to put to make our circle. And then we will be done with the bottom of our temple. So right through the right, left through the left. Pull that tight, get a one bead. This is our last crisscross bead, and our temple will be finished on the bottom. When we will have closed the bottom of our temple in. Okay. All right. We'll pull that crisscross bead nice and tight. There we go. Can you see that nice and perfect circle? Now remember, this is our last bead. Even though we crisscrossed it, we don't want to tie it off or we're going to leave a knot right on top of the bead. So remember what we do. We just pull one of the strings out of the crisscross and we just tie it nice and tight right there. You can kind of pull all your beads tight before you do a final close. Nice and tight, right over left, left over right. And this should be your last knot you have to make. Your bottom of your temple is done. You'll cut off your strings, thread them back through a bead, cut it off, and you will be done.